Question 6. The table shows information about the times for 10 people to complete a task. So we first need to interpret this table over here. We know that one person took between 0 and 20 minutes. We know 6 people took somewhere between 20 and 40 minutes. And we know 3 people took somewhere between 40 and 60 minutes. These statements are about the mean and range of the actual times. We need to tick the correct box for each statement. So the first statement says the mean could be less than 20 minutes. So if we go back to this table over here, because we're trying to find the least the mean could be, we're going to assume the lowest possible value in each of these groups. So instead of taking the midpoint of 0 and 20, we're going to assume that this one person took 0 minutes. So over here I'm going to do 1 times 0. I'm going to assume these 6 people took 20 minutes, the lowest possible value. So that's going to be 6 times 20. And these 3 people we're going to assume took 40 minutes. So that's going to be 3 times 40. Now to work out the mean, I need to add all of these together and I need to divide by the total number of people, which is 10. So if I add all these together, I've got 0 plus 120 plus 120, so that's 240 divided by 10, which is 24. So the mean could be less than 20 minutes. We worked out the least the mean could be is 24, so that's going to be false. It can't be less than 20 minutes. Okay, this statement here says the mean could be more than 40 minutes. So to work this out, we want to decide what the most our mean could be. So we're going to use these values, the highest possible values in each group this time. So that's going to be a similar thing to before, but this time we're going to do 1 times 20 plus 6 times 40 plus 3 times 60. And we're going to divide that by 10 to work out the mean, and that's going to be 20 plus 240 plus 180, so that's going to be 180 and 20, 220, that's 440 divided by 10, which is 44. So the mean could be more than 40. We've worked out that the highest it can be is 44, so that's actually going to be true. The third statement says the mean could be less than 40 minutes, but we've already worked out over here that it could be 24 minutes, so that means, yes, it could be less than 40 minutes, so that's going to be true. Okay, over here it's talking about the range. The range could be more than 40 minutes, so we want to work out the most that our range could be. Well, if we assume over here that this person took 0 minutes and we assume that somebody over here took 60 minutes, our maximum range is going to be 60 take away 0, which is going to be 60. So that's the most our range could be. So the range could in fact be more than 40 minutes, so that's going to be true. Here we're asking the range could be less than 40 minutes. So let's work out the least our range could be. So if we take our highest possible value over here, which is 20, and our lowest possible value from this group over here, which is 40, that means that we can do this subtraction, which is 40 take away 20, and that's going to give us the least our range could be. And 40 take away 20 is equal to 20. So the least our range could be is 20 minutes. So that means the range could be less than 40 minutes. So that's going to be true. And then finally it says the range could be less than 60 minutes. And we can see over here that it could be 20 minutes. Sorry, we'll say that again. The range could be more than 60 minutes. And we're seeing over here that the range can't actually be more than 60 minutes. The highest it could possibly be is 60. So that's going to be false. Okay, moving on to question 7. 3/5 of a number is 162. We need to work out the number. So we've got an unknown number, but I know when I take 3/5 of it, I get 162. So I'm going to call that unknown number x. So we can say 3/5 of x is going to be equal to 162. So first of all, I'm going to get rid of this fifth over here by multiplying both sides of my equation by 5. So let's draw some bars either side. So we're going to multiply both sides of my equation by 5. So that means that this side's going to become 3x, and this side over here is going to become 5 times 162. Well, 10 times 162 is 1620, and if I half that, which is 810, that will be 5 times 162. So I've timed it by 10 and then halved it in order to times it by 5. I then need to divide both sides of this by 3. So that means that's going to be x, and over here 810 divided by 3 gives me 270. So that means that x is going to be equal to 270, and that's going to be our answer, 270. Now I can check by taking 3/5 of 270 and seeing whether that is 162. So 1/5 of 270 is going to be 54. So 3/5 of 270 is going to be 3 times 54, which is in fact 162. So I know that I'm right. Okay, question number 8. We've got x kilometers per hour is equal to y miles per hour. And we're using this conversion over here, 8 kilometers per hour is equal to 5 miles per hour, to write a formula for y in terms of x. So I'm going to start by saying, well, I know that y divided by x must be the same as 5 divided by 8. So y divided by x must be equal to 5 divided by 8. Because I'm trying to write a formula for y in terms of x, I can multiply both sides of this equation by x, and that's going to tell me that y is equal to, and if I multiply both sides by x, I get 5x divided by 8. So my answer is going to be y is equal to 5x divided by 8. Question 9. Density is equal to mass times volume. The mass of a solid A is 6 times the mass of solid B. The volume of solid A is 3 times the volume of solid B. We need to complete the sentence, the density of solid A is something times the density of solid B. Well, let's see what happens. If I multiply the mass by 6, and I multiply the volume by 3, if that's 6 times as big and that's 3 times as big, 6 divided by 3 is 2, so that tells me my density must be 2 times as big. So the density of solid A is 2 times the density of solid B. Okay, part B. The average speed is equal to distance divided by time. If the distance is halved and the time is doubled, what happens to the average speed? So I'm going to half this, and I'm going to, so times that by a half and times this by 2. So I'm going to double this. And a half divided by 2 is a quarter. So that means that the average speed is going to be a quarter of what it was before. So that means we need to divide the average speed by 4 to work out a quarter of the average speed.